Hello viewers, good morning to this session. I am going to explain the passages of Lycidas by John Milton. You know, passages are said from the text for explanation in the university examinations. Therefore, on the demand and request of many students, I want to explain some of the important passages of Lycidas by John Milton for explanations. Now let me begin with the first passage. Yet once more, O ye laurel, and once more, ye myrtles brown with ivy, never sere, I come to pluck your berries harsh and crude, and with forced fingers rude, shatter your leaves before the mellowing ear. These are the opening lines of Lycidas by John Milton. In the opening passage, the poet gives an account of the reason why he has come to compose this poem. The sudden death of his great friend Edward King occasions this poem. It is important to note that Edward King was on a sea journey in August 1637 when he was off the coast of Wales. His ship wrecked. Edward King drowned into the sea and he passed away. This is the occasion that compels the poet to compose this melody, this monody. Monody is a poem that deals with the sorrow and suffering of one, and it has dialogue, or it has talk by a single person, so it's called monody. Now let me explain this passage. Yet once more, O ye laurels, and once more, ye myrtles brown with ivy never sere. The poet says that once more he wants to pluck laurels. He wants to once more myrtles brown with ivy sere. The poet says that he has come to pluck the berries harsh and crude, and with forced fingers rude. The poet says that his fingers are rude to pluck the berries because he is not prepared for it. The surface meaning deals with the plucking of flowers, but at bottom the poet talks about the sudden demise, the sudden death of Edward King in the Irish Sea in August 1637 when he was on a sea journey. Shatter your lips before the mellowing ear. Shatter your lips before the mellowing ear. The poet makes it clear that he shatters the leaves of the flowers. He plucks the leaves of the flowers in the mellowing ear. In the ear when it is not ripened or when it is not ready to be harvested. These lines show the poet's concern, deep concern for the death of his dear friend Edward King. The poet describes the death or the reason of composing his poem in the form of an elegy, pastoral elegy. That's why the poet makes use of flowers, berries, myrtles, leaves, etc. It is an elegiac poem which bewails the death of Edward King, his great friend at Cambridge University, London, England. These lines are full of imageries from nature. The use of myrtle, laurels, berries, leaves before the mellowing ear make the passage natural or make the passage beautiful. Now I am going to explain the second passage. For Lycidas is dead, ere his prime, young Lycidas, and hath not left his peer. Who would not sing for Lycidas? He knew himself to sing and build the lofty rhyme. He must not float upon the watery bier, unwept, and welter to the parching wind without the meed of some melodious tear. In this passage of Lycidas by John Milton, the poet describes the sudden demise, the sudden death of Lycidas in the shipwreck when he is going to a sea journey. The incident takes place off the coast of Wales in August 1637. For Lycidas is dead, ere his prime. Lycidas dies young. He is young enough. He is a budding poet. He is busy in composing brilliant poems, and death takes him away. So the poet says, for Lycidas is dead, ere his prime. Ere his prime means before his youth. He could not witness youth. He died before the coming of his youth. young Lycidas and hath not left his peer. Edward King is young. Here Lycidas comes for Edward King. Lycidas is a popular name in the poetry of Shepherd, or in the poetry of in pastoral poetry. So Lycidas is dead ere his prime, young Lycidas, and hath not left his peer. There is no peer, there is no friend of Lycidas left, meaning thereby there is none who can be likened to Edward King. So left his peer. Who would not sing for Lycidas? The poet asked. Who will not sing the death of Lycidas? Who will not bewail his death? Who will not weep for Lycidas? He must not float upon the watery weir. The poet says that Edward King must not be left to float on the watery weir, on the watery on the water of Wales, where he died. Unwept and wilted to the parching wind. He should not go unwept. The poet weeps for his death, and the entire nature weeps for the parting of Edward King. Unwept and wilted to the parching wind, without the meed of some mellowing tear. The poet says that he cannot help singing song on this occasion, or singing praise of Edward King, because he was a great personality who wished to join church and to serve church. This passage too is very heart moving. The poet says